It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, today we're going to jump on the interactive board. Brother published their FY 2022. The numbers are in. And folks, yesterday when I was doing Epson's numbers, I compared Epson's profitability and the percentage of profitability to that of Ricoh, and Epson literally crushed Ricoh. Today I'm going to do the same thing with Brother's numbers. When you look at Brother's profitability and you compare that to Ricoh, they literally crush him. Literally crush him. And, you know, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking our friends over there at Konica Minolta are waiting for the end of the day with Ray, me, to finish all the OEM financials before they publish their numbers. Because they don't want me comparing all these folks to them. Because I expect when Konica does publish their numbers, they'll be just as pitiful as Ricoh's, probably worse. That's my opinion. And I know you're seeing the Ricoh out there still bragging about how they're, killed it. 97% increase in operating profit. But at the end of the day, we all know that Ricoh struggles at making any kind of operating profit, and I contribute all of Ricoh's problems with their ability to make operating profit due to the fact that they're out there doing things they shouldn't be doing, all this office services business. $5 billion in Ricoh's case, that obviously is at zero profit, or actually costing them hundreds of millions of dollars, in my opinion, because they just can't make any profit. And when you look at the profitability of Brother, when you look at the profitability of Epson, there has to be something going on with Ricoh. There has to be something going on with Konica Minolta. And it has to be the fact that they can't make any money going into the marketplace doing services on stuff they don't make. I'm hoping that that message really wakes up our industry. I'm hoping that our analysts and our media actually start asking these OEMs to prove that they're actually making money in their services and to hold them accountable. I'm hoping that when Konica goes out and tries to buy another award for their IT services business, that they actually look at the financials of the company and say, you don't qualify. Because you actually have to make money to get the award too, right? You would hope so. And the same goes for Ricoh. So ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on the interactive board and let's see the numbers for our friends over there at Brother. Top line revenue for FY 2022 was $6 billion. Operating profit, $411.5 million, 6.8%. Congratulations, Brother. Brother also had a $78.4 million impairment charge against their Domino business. They had a $78.4 million impairment charge. But guess what? When you're consistent at controlling your cost, when you're consistently focused on profitability, every once in a while you're going to have a hiccup, regardless of who you are. But when you have those disciplines, you can absorb those hiccups. It's like a big shock absorber, right? You can absorb it. And Brother can absorb it pretty easily. Let's dig into the more numbers on Brother, because this is interesting stuff to me. Brother has their divisions, just like the rest of the OEMs do. The P&S division is where the print stuff lives. They did $3.6 billion, and they had a $270 million operating profit, 7.5%. Let's put this in perspective. I show you the Ricoh numbers up here. Ricoh did $12.2 billion in the Ricoh Digital Services. In that $12.2 billion number, they have office print, which represents $6.5 billion. They have office services, which represents $5 billion. Okay, here's the math, folks. $12.2 billion Ricoh revenue for FY 2022 in the Ricoh Digital Services category, where they have office print and office services. They had an operating profit of $209.2 million, 1.6%. They did $8 billion more dollars in the print world and in their office services world than our friends here at Brother, who did $3.6 billion. But yet, the $3.6 billion that Brother did, well, their operating profit was $270 million. It was more than the $12.2 billion that Ricoh did. And when you start thinking about this logically, you would have to conclude that Ricoh can make money in print. They've been doing print forever. You would think that print's profitable, right? So the only thing that's logical is this office services business, that $5 billion business, is probably costing them a whole lot of money. And they're not making any operating profit. And the cost that it's costing them to go in the market and do something that they're not competent at doing, in my opinion, it's killing them. And it's killing their operating profit. It has to be. And that same situation, that same scenario applies for our friends over at Ricoh. Look at the other divisions of Brother. The machinery division, $716.5 million in revenue with a $72.8 million operating profit, 10%. The Domino Business, $745.5 million in revenue, $43 million operating profit loss. They did have the $78 million impairment charge against that division. We'll talk about that in a minute. Nissan division, $174.5 million, $20.8 million operating profit. That's 12%. P&H, $378.8 million in revenue, $43.8 million in operating profit, 11.5%. N&C, $262.1 million in top line revenue with an operating profit of $59.4 million, 16.5%. Their other category, $86.1 million in revenue with a $47.5 million operating profit, 55%. I looked at that and I was thinking to myself, brother, shut everything else down and focus on other. But you know, some of these other OEMs, they got these other categories. They're all showing these massive losses. Let's throw it in other, and then no one will know where it's coming from. Let's take a bunch of costs that belong to the print business, throw it in the other, and show the loss there. Folks, Brother's numbers prove that even with one of your divisions having a $43 million loss against $745 million in revenue, it doesn't impact you that much, because you got disciplines and you're controlling your costs. Congratulations, Brother. And you literally crushed Ricoh. And I wanted to say that. I want to say it really loud. Brother crushed Ricoh. Brother should be proud. They won. They won. Because it is about making money. It's not about how much revenue you do. Can you even imagine? I mean, think about this. I got to say it again. Ricoh, $8 billion more in the revenue in the print business. Okay? Going into these offices, selling all this stuff. And our friends over there at Brother, on $3.6 billion worth of revenue, did more in operating profit. $270 million for Brother, $209.2 million for Ricoh. Brother, you should be really, really excited about that and proud that you did that. This Domino business, this is very, very interesting business, and it's a really high growth business. It's around this label printing, coding and marking equipment, you know, prescription bottle stuff. This is a wide open field. Coding and marketing is a wide open field. Tracking is a wide open field. And a lot of the OEMs want to get deep into this space. We see our friends at Konica Minolta coming out with their big roll-fed printers and all this. And there's a lot of these folks that just don't have the operating profit and the disciplines around controlling costs to create operating profit, and they're going to struggle as they move into these areas. And even though you got our friends here at Brother moving into these areas, taking a $78.4 million impairment charge as they're in this area, they can absorb it. They got the shocks to do it. They can make the investments. They can make some good investments. They can make some bad investments. Not everything you invest in works out perfect. But as long as they focus and keep that discipline on controlling costs, they'll do just fine. And this will be an interesting business to watch as they progress through it. But here's some things that I got to talk about. Brother, quit trying to figure out how to do subscriptions in the Soho market. I think people are losing their common sense around this Soho market and print and putting subscriptions to people's houses and all this crazy nonsense. I mean, they do have this phone app now where people can actually, and this is mainly in the China market, but this phone app allows people to add more prints to their device and pay for them. Are you? This is nuts. Okay, I mean, don't waste a lot of R&D and money on this, because people aren't going to do that. Okay, if people just want to buy a printer for their house, and brother, you've been doing so great at this Soho market for decades. I mean, you've always done really well in the Soho market. And you didn't have any subscriptions. And that's back when people actually printed in the Soho market. Okay, and their print volumes were growing in the Soho market. And you didn't need the app so they could load up more copies. Here's the bottom line. People are not printing in the Soho offices near as much as they used to. And every single day they're going to print less. And nobody wants to buy a subscription on something you barely use. The consumption model, the subscription model is really built for things that you use and that use would actually grow. It's never going to grow in the print world. The people in the Soho market want to buy a printer, and when they need toner, they want to buy it. You want to use a phone app? Put a QR code on the printer so they can walk up with their phone and go on the QR app, and then it'll automatically, send them a bottle of toner. To me, that would work. And then bill them for the toner or the ink. Just bill them. Make it easy that way. But trying to figure out the subscription thing in the houses in the Soho market, crazy stuff. In the business world, makes a little more sense, and we've been doing it for a long time. It was called a lease with prints included. We just changed the name of it. People are getting way confused by that, but in all reality, we understand what businesses run, and we understand that businesses are going to run less. There's no reason in the world why we can't come up with a flat rate and do it. It's not rocket science, just do it. But you're doing some interesting things in the business world. You're coming out with more robust equipment to get into that workspace, and I think you could really cause some disruptions. Brother has some ink, Epson has the ink, they're moving into the business, and you could cause the laser folks some pressures if you focus on how to develop better business products, work group products, programs to get those work group products into those offices, as opposed to trying to figure out how to get the Soho market to pay for more copies on their phone. I'm just saying. This is something I can get excited about. Folks, this printing on garment, direct-to-garment printing is pretty cool. This machine is very small. It's like 51 inches long, 50 inches wide, like 21 inches tall. This could change silk screening. This is for low volume, applications. There's something here. I want to really watch this. This direct-to-garment printing is really, really cool. And there's going to be some legs with that. As a matter of fact, I think people would print on shirts in their houses more than they would print business documents. Just saying. So good luck with that, and I want to watch that as it progresses. They put together some preconditions for their forecast. I just want to read one of these. And I want everybody to pay attention to what Brother's saying here. Work from home demand has run its course and print volume is slowly declining. The only thing they should have changed there is they should have said, and print volume is quickly declining. Look, everybody got excited because we sold a bunch of printers in people's houses when the COVID thing started. But I've been telling you all now for almost 3.5 years. You could put all the printers you want into people's offices, into people's homes, but you can't make them print on them. And every day, business processes are eliminating more of the need to print. So, brother, focus on how to go into that business marketplace and disrupt the A3 laser-based machines. Focus on that market, because that market for you is all growth, because you live in the Soho market. You're not going to leave the Soho market. Just realize that people aren't going to put subscriptions on your devices. They're not going to use their phone to add more copies. They will buy ink when they need it, but it's not going to be near as much as you want them to. And every single day they'll buy less. But in the business world, every time you replace one of those laser A3s with your Brother ink-based A4, that's net new business for you. And there's some value in that for a little bit of a term, that you could use the revenues and the profits because you're disciplined, and you could use that money to develop other products as more and more print declines. Focus on selling the products, supplying the products, and servicing the products you make. And brother, you'll do just fine. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.